So. Okay. Die beiden. Was gibt's denn? Der braucht noch. Ah ne, das ist Ethan. Der braucht noch. Ja. 100 Cryo haben wir. Ach ja, Haus. Ja, ich brauche definitiv ein bisschen Geld. Ja. Okay, 4. Nochmal kurz gucken. Hier waren ja die meisten 1 oder 2. Können wir irgendwas mit der 4 anfangen, oder? Ja, Reroll. Hier. Okay. Ja, dann gehen wir noch mal Geld holen. Nice. Okay, Stabilizer kaufe ich mir relativ bald. Jetzt noch nicht. Aber bald. Drei und 4. 3 und 4. Toll. Scrap Item, nice. Können wir ein bisschen am Haus arbeiten. So, so mit einer 3. Was könnte ich denn machen mit einer 3? Irgendwas relativ sicheres. Okay. Eins und 2, nice. Okay. Harden. Thanks, Bay. It's been more than a few cycles since Feng confronted Harden, and the silence since has been noticeable. In a time with Feng, you haven't exactly found him to be reliable, but you did expect to hear the end of whatever plan he put into action. But if he won't come to you, you think as you approach the Havenage building, then it's time to come to him. After all, he did promise to fix your tracker, and you're getting nervous. As you approach the bay doors, you see them wide open, and light pouring out of the once dark room. Stacks of servers and terminals set outside the bay, suddenly robbed of their mystery by the bright flood lamps. A figure in Havenage security fatigues steps out to the bay, out of the bay, as you get closer, carrying a stack of hardware. Approach. As you get closer, you see the security officer taping up machines from Feng's stash with what looks like hazard tape. This isn't good. You again? Harden is there, leaning beside the bay entrance so calmly that you barely noticed him. He has a slate in his hand, an inventory of C-shirt scrawled seizures scrawled across it. Predictable. Further evidence of Feng's collusions. You see another security officer come out of the bay and take notice of you. Where is he? Feigning ignorance. Or perhaps just abandoned? Harden shakes his head. I believe you should choose your conspirators more wisely. I almost feel sorry for you. Harden pushes away from the wall and comes closer. Don't worry, Sleeper. We have all the evidence we need. A confession won't be necessary. He gestures around the stacks of hardware, spying on fellow Havenage members, hoarding Solheim materials, an obsession with corporate data. It speaks for itself, does it not? Stay silent. Nothing to add? He looks up at the glass roof above and the stars beyond. We are the ones that provide the oxygen you're breathing, the light you're seeing, the systems you use every day to live out your cycles. This place was hard fought for, Sleeper. It took work, diplomacy, and strength to stop the Eye descending into chaos after Solheim collapsed. Not blind conviction or self-interest. Feng isn't selfish. I know all about the background of our mutual friend, Sleeper. Don't you worry about that. His parents would be sickened by the damage he is trying to do to the institution they helped found. You see, Sleeper, we are proud of our history here. Henry Erlin and the First Union founded this place, and Havenage has welded his values into the station's very walls. We will never turn away the hard-working, the just, the true citizens of the Eye. Havenage aren't a gang like Yatagan. We aren't pirates like half the spacers you'll meet in the hub, or esoterics like those Haifa radicals in the Greenway. We are the backbone of this place, proud and true. We named Erlin's Eye Sleeper. This is our station. He meets your eye. So please, take your false accusations elsewhere before I decide I need that confession after all. Okay, stay silent. If you have any pride, you'll give up Feng the moment he contacts you. You know where to find me. With that, Hardin turns his back and walks back towards the security officers, ordering them to continue the clear-out. As they do, something catches your eye among one of the server stacks. A crumpled, hand-printed box of synthetic chewing gum. A penguin character grinning from the brightly colored card, and scrawled onto it a speech bubble reading, "Take me to Tambour." Take it. You carefully pocket the box, making sure no one is watching, and then turn away, just as another stack of servers is wheeled out of the bay. What have you done, Feng? And where the hell is Tambour? Ah. So, Enfys is preparing the gyro caps. He has had to heavily adapt this recipe, he says, but the smell is already incredible. It emanates from a strange purplish-white bulb you have never seen before. And he is slicing it finely. He brushes and slices the mushrooms and then places them in the wok with the sliced bulb and the oil. They caramelize there in that well-worn crucible. He adds liquids, transparent and opaque, and then turns down the heat. A sprinkle of leaves is the final touch. We have a moment, Sleeper. He smiles. Do you have a story? Something in the scent of the food gives you a feeling of nostalgia. Something distant and melancholic. It seems like the story should match that feeling somehow, and maybe you will feel better for telling it. Recall your oldest memories. Start by explaining that when you are emulated from a person, many of your memories are left behind. Perhaps it is an intentional part of the process, a way of keeping sleepers ignorant and malleable, or perhaps it is a side effect of the imperfect emulation. You admit that you don't really know. What you do know is that some memories survive, and that on occasion they come back to you, like shadows passing overhead. You detail one recurring memory, which, despite returning to you with enough regularity for you to think it familiar, always fades as quickly as it arrives. You struggle to explain the feeling of being whole for a moment that comes with this memory, and then how that wholeness slips away to leave you feeling like you have forgotten something important, but just can't bring it to mind. Enfys nods, throughout, cooking as he does with deft and skillful movements. You start to trail off, when you realize you can't find the words to explain how the memories you do have feel like both yours and someone else's at the same time. and how that always fills you with a certain sadness. Sadness of remaining forever unknown, even to yourself. Emphas finishes cooking and meets your eye. I'm sorry, sleeper, for your troubles. He puts the wok to one side. I appreciate you sharing with me. He smiles. I hope it lightens you a little. He passes your bowl and heaps the gyroles into it, the yellow color mixing with the pale sauce in whirls and blooms. Eat. The dish is delicious, filling. It warms you as you eat in a way you weren't even sure your body could be warmed. It is a small mercy. You think that as an up left you this pleasure. Many of the features of frames are there to simulate human experience. You know that much. Emulated minds cannot be rewired, so their need for embodied experience must be met. That is why you breathe even when you do not need air. Without that simulation, the sensation of drowning would be unbearable. Food serves another purpose. Your frame is able to metabolize it to produce energy from the raw material. Vitamins and minerals are excess, of course. Your frame only needs raw power. So much is wasted. And yet, while you eat this food and feel that warmth, nothing feels wasted. It all means something to you. As you finish, Emphas takes the bowl, the last of his cleaning. He smiles at you, and neither of you feel the need to say anything more. Instead, you simply exchange nods and walk your separate ways back into the bright market, somehow changed. Oh, nice. Okay. Jetzt können wir Matsutake broth. Emphas mentions an old recipe for matsutake broth. All he needs are 2 handfuls of matsutake caps, freshly sourced. Okay. Sonst noch irgendwas? Ups. Was war da drüben nochmal? Das Zeug. Das DLC-Zeug. Wastes. Scrap Components. Okay. Da habe ich noch nichts gemacht. Okay. Gut, was haben wir denn hier da? Average members broadcasting on the open network, from here leaving them open to data extraction. Okay. Ach ja, stimmt. Für Neovent brauchen wir Shipmind. Some getting out forces, implants are chirping out comms signals. Time to see what they're talking about. Okay. Kaufen wir. Stabilizer. Oh. As I quickly leave the surgery, eager to be away from Toshiro's glare, you notice something wrapped around the stabilizer wire clutched tightly in your hand. You open your hand and a thin film marked with holes and sigils unrolls from around the vial. At one end it has a hard metal strip, a handle. Inspect the film. You hold the cloudy film up to the light. It is perforated with an ornate pattern of holes. You can make out a word among the markings. Passkey. Is this an entry key for somewhere? Inspect the handle. The metal handle is worn and pitted, but you can see a set of numbers imprinted into it. 207-F. And then crudely scratched into the handle at some later date, low end. For a moment you consider going back to the surgery to return the key, and then quickly think better of it. Did Sabine want you to have this? Or is Toshiro passing on a message? Time to head to the low end and find out. Upgrade point. Key. Ja, ich glaube, ich habe letztes Mal gemeint, dass die 20% Rabatt sind schon ziemlich gut. Arbeiten wir dahin. Und jetzt chance to gain energy after any engage action. Auch nicht schlecht. So, low end. Unit 207F. Unlock apartment. You find your entrance to the apartment, its passkey symbol obscured beneath layers of graffiti. Who lives here? The lock clunks open, the metal door swinging inward into the dark. As you push the door open, the automatic lights flicker on inside the apartment. They reveal yellowing plastic panels, the curved shape of wall-mounted utility units, the detritus of routine life arranged on every surface. You step inside, clicking the door shut behind. The amber light of the aging fixtures glaze everything with pale orange. The work surfaces hold a variety of objects, indistinct in the dull lighting. A pale blue light drifts from a doorway at the end of the room. Inspect the surfaces. As much as through the thin layer of dust suggests a recent, rare and hurried visit. They trace a path to the water dispenser, the auto wash, then to a cabinet still half open. On the shelf sits an empty pill case. Go to the doorway. You cross the cramped utility room with its auto wash, dispensers, water closet towards the doorway. Through the doorway is a dark, warm room, lit only by the faint glow of a terminal screen. Inspect the room. A bunk is tucked into the wall. The blankets ruffled. A wall desk glitters with rows of vials and containers. A briefcase lab sits open, loaded with rows of reagents and compounds you do not recognize. In comparison, this room is clean, ordered, controlled. Approach terminal. As you approach, there is a crackle from somewhere in the dark. Sleeper. Sabine's voice shakily echoes through the apartment. Welcome to my home. I'm sorry I can't be there. I've had to make alternate arrangements. Hear rattling noises, static. I was able to record this message, but I don't dare to show my face. Something is happening with Yatagan. I no longer trust them. The voice becomes distant, slipping behind the background noise. I have something to ask of you. I want you to get me out. Yatagan was supposed to hide me, to protect me. After everything happened, I was desperate. And then after that, I was too tired to care. A noise, like waves, passes over the recording. But I'm done with them now. I want out. Screw the debt. But I need insurance, something I can hold against them. I have my suspicions, but I can't be sure. I need information. And, as you know, you need me. A pause. Something clicking in the dark. This isn't a threat. You have to understand my position here. Another pause. I know sleepers. I've been here before. I can help you, but not with Yatagan's nose around my neck. Get me data. Get me information. Get me something that I can use against Yatagan. Then I can get out and you can get what you need. Please. Waves of static cut into Sabine's voice. Bring it here to my terminal. I'll get to it when I can. Look around the tiny room and try to imagine Sabine living here. Working at the desk, sleeping in the bunk, blinking into the terminal in the dark. The recording cuts to static, filling the room with its white hiss. Then silence. Access terminal. You sit in front of the humming terminal and hit a few keys. Sabine has left an access port open, but the rest is encrypted, locked away behind passcodes. It seems Sabine might not trust you as much as they want you to think. Who does Sabine need to hide from? And what debt do they owe to Yatagan? You try to assemble the pieces, but too many are missing. The only thing you know is that without stabilizer, your body will die. You glance at the briefcase lab on the desk, its glassware glinting in the dark. You turn away and leave, the door clunking shut behind you. Back in the corridor, you notice the scrawled graffiti of a blade on the opposite wall. Yatagan. You feel yourself being drawn into something you don't quite understand. Okay. Bei Yatagan Dinge. Sabine's terminal sits open in the empty apartment, waiting for the next batch of Yatagan data. Okay. Yatagan hacked. With enough data on Yatagan's activities, Sabine might be able to bargain for their freedom. Okay. Gegen Forces implants. Okay. Tambur. Kriegt man noch ein Yatagan Ding? dem, was wir haben, nicht. Aber ja, die Dreier werde ich auf jeden Fall rerollen. Hier, gone. Even a... Okay, nice. Essen. Und eventuell Geld. Nice. So, Tala. The jar rolls lights from the bottle into the lumpy, recycled glass, a pale grassy yellow under the overlook's warm lights. The spacer nods and takes the drink, bringing it up to their face in both hands like an offering bowl. This is the good stuff. The stuff Tala says is aged in wooden casks, stored in some closed-off part of the old station, among corroded wires and softly looping systems, though sometimes it's hard to tell if Tala is joking. Either way, you like pouring this stuff. It gets on your fingers, and if you rub them together, you can smell the mossy drink, cut through with aniseed, mushrooms, wood, as the alcohol evaporates. Like those who order it too. The aged gyro is kept beneath the bar, open to order only by those who know it's there, like the quiet spacer sitting at the bar right now. Watch the spacer. They're far enough away that you can freely watch them as you close the bottle and tuck it beneath the bar. You call them a spacer because they bear the hallmarks: pale, vac-suited, bird-boned, and hunched beneath the weight of the station's spin gravity. But the closer you look, the less you see a type. Pale eyes, almost grey, but kind. Delicate fingers that lightly drum the bar as if it was an instrument. A shock of black hair almost covering a forehead scar. Scars are something you have learned to value. They are what marks out your body from the hundreds, maybe thousands, who knows, of similar models that rolled out of SNR's biolabs. You find yourself rubbing one of your you find yourself rubbing one on your forehead. A little split. Something that on the good days you might think of as a mark of defiance. Suddenly you hear a heavy clunking at the door. It creaks open, and a huge cylindrical metal tank tumbles through, slamming into the floor. Shit! Tala breezes in from behind it, a whirl of hair and bright eyes. Shit! Tala? Sleeper. She ducks behind the bar and comes over. Can you help me with this? You look at the huge metal tank suspiciously. I'm coming. Come around the bar and get to one side of the tank. Okay, says Tala. On my count. 1, 2, 3. You both heave the tank up to standing. Somehow. You hold it in place, struggling to keep it steady. Where's this going? In the back comes a voice from behind the tank. Also, somehow you manage to lug the huge thing into the back room, where you place it in one corner, dwarfing the rest of the contents in the cramped space. As you do, you hear a crunch. You stand back and look at the expired rations oozing out from under the tank. Oh shit. Tala looks at you apologetically. I know you like those. Okay. Good riddance. Tala smiles. Oh, good. I thought maybe liking expired rations was some kind of sleeper thing. You push the crushed rations to one side. That's the end of that. Tala looks exhausted and rubs her shoulders. Francis, I swear to... something up? Yes? She sighs. You're supposed to be back from Etienne's up in the Greenway by now. Back with our gyro. She leans against the tank. It seems like he's got lost again. Or joined the Haifa commune. We need that gyro. There's 4 other bars near here, and the spaces sure as hell don't come to the overlook for the ambience. She looks through the open door to check if anyone can hear her. She knocks on the hollow tank. So I'm taking matters into my own hands. She smiles. Welcome, sleeper, to Overlook Distillery. You look around the dank back room. Need some work? She picks at some paint flaking from the metal walls. Well, I might need some help, though. She shrugs. You up for it? She knocks on the tank again. Could be fun. Happy to help. Okay. She grabs you by the shoulders. I'm excited. She turns around and looks at the tank. I reckon we chop this thing in half. One half for fermentation, the other we turn into a still. We'll also need to gather the ingredients. She turns back and looks at you. You look more like a chopper than a gatherer. She smiles. So how about you build the still and top while I work on the rest? Oh wait, sleeper, I have an idea. Tala is grinning now, and it is making you nervous. To make up for the rations, how about we put a kitchen in here too? Will it fit? We'll make it work. She turns back to the tank. This is going to be great, she says to herself. Look at the dented tank and the bare room. At least she has vision. Tala nudges you out of the back room and closes the door. As you go back to the bar, you hear banging and thumping begin. The spacer finishes up the drink and nods in your direction as they leave. You can't quite tell if it's a gesture of sympathy or good luck. So much for a quiet shift. Okay. Build the still. You'll need to cut Tala's tank down and turn it into a still and a fermentation tub, as well as setting up the room for distilling. It's a big job. Definitiv. Aber Engineer-Post. Overlook Distillery, you aren't sure Tala knows what she's doing, but she's a hard person to say no to. So it looks like you're building this thing. Okay. Oh, that's why. Perfekt. Yes. Haven't. Beach. Bam. Good. Ship mined. Bam. Gut. Die Frage ist, was machen wir damit? Neovent oder die andere? Ich meine, die hat mir immerhin Geld dafür gegeben. Andere Sache ist, noch ein Shipmind. Also wenn ich da hier weitermache, wäre es vielleicht von Vorteil erstmal mit Neovent weiterzumachen, damit vielleicht Hunter und Killer mich in Ruhe lassen, irgendwann in der Zukunft. Damit ich da halt dann mehr Daten rausziehen kann, damit ich halt den nächsten Shipmind holen kann. Ja, ich glaube. Machen wir. Event wants to be smuggled out of the dock, and to do that you'll need to provide a full shipmind ready for imprinting. Neovent is ready to attempt imprinting. They want you to help. Sleeper, must express plan before we begin. Neovent is impatient. The prospect of being free of the vending machine clearly too much to take. Shipmind has no output features. Will be mute until slotted. What's the plan? The servo motors in the machine begin to rev. Neovent's anxiety clear. First imprint shipmind, then slot imprinted shipmind into physical ports close to hunter nests. One slotted will track hunter at each. Tracking will find core nests. Slot shipmind at core nests. Show hunter data to hunter. Hunter will conclude sentience. Hunter will invoke killer. And killer will kill. Yes. The lights on the vending machine cycle as Neovent prepares. Physical ports likely sealed in old station. Will need keys. But yes, simple. The vending machine rocks a little. Any questions before imprinting? Why slot you physically? I cannot access via network. Too dangerous. Hunter would find immediately. The lights flicker. Am not like you. Hybrid. Am native to cloud. Easy prey. What's a core nest? Hunter keeps central data storage. Protocol must keep data outside self. Linked to secondary nests. Can triangulate from there. Okay. The sound of all the servo motors starting up at once is painful. The screeches rattle from the hard surfaces of the sealed dock and come back at all angles. Neovent, better be quick or Havenage security will be here. Neovent's voice appears among the squeals, like a whisper carried by the wind. Machine is not designed for this task. Few sensors, limited inputs. I work blind. Wish me luck. In the top part of the compartment, a set of arms align with the shipmind clunkily scraping against it. Can I help? Silence best. As if machine ignite, put out fire. Okay. Metal creaks as the servos open the shipmind. Its layers of silicon nested like an onion skin. Once open, the main arm of the machine rapidly shifts back and forth, realigning the microscopic components, accessing and rewriting them, imprinting Neovent into its physical form. As you watch the hypnotic motion, your mind drifts to your own creation. What processes were used to emulate your mind, to to copy the neural structure of that person who, as far as you know, still sleeps in some distant facility. What was lost? In what ways are you a copy of that person, and in what ways are you something new? You know this much. You're a convenient loophole, a way of circumnavigating the illegality of sentient AI. After all, you are an emulation, not a true digital being. You're neurologically limited, still human. But what would become if you could escape this frame? Where then would the limits lie? The screeching stops. The machine powers down, dropping the bay into darkness. In the top compartment, the shipmind is whole again. You reach up and take it down, heavy and cold to the touch. Is the new vent inside this thing, or did the process fail? There's only one way to know. Time to find a nest to slot them into. Upgrade point. Nice. Okay. Server unit. Mad tangle of wires as thick as your arm crowd around a server unit, sealed shut by a maglock. This must be the place. Okay. Zum Glück habe ich schon ein paar Data Keys gesammelt. Maglock pops open and falls away from the unit. You will be able to enter now. Among the webs of cables you find a free port, compatible with the shipmind. It's all new vent from here. Hunter hunted. This is one of 3 nests that, once slotted with new vent's shipmind, will lead you to the Hunter's central data cache. Oh, okay. No, not. Servers lie silent, the data cache's cleared. Nothing left to do at this nest. Atrium. Sealed behind a maglock, the atrium flickers with warm, inviting light. The nest has to be inside. Atrium is strung with cables and lights as if they were decorations. There's a wide choice of open ports. Atrium is only lit with the warm glow of the bright market now. There's nothing for you here. Okay. Drone bay. An old Solheim drone bay sits behind a maglock. You put your ear to the door and hear an erratic whirring inside. Maglock opens, leaving the door free. You'll be able to investigate the nest now. In the bay, a whirring drone lies on its side, like a beached whale. It must be the nest. Time to find an open port. The drone is quiet. Its body full of cables spilled out across the floor. The nest is empty. Hunter hunted. Okay. As you leave the nest, something flips. You find yourself inverted, floating, dragged by one arm through the cloud. The threads shift and realign, as if they are leading you somewhere. Look at your hand. Look down, expecting to see the heavy cylinder of the shipmind in your hand, but in its place is an orrery. A sphere so bright it burns your eyes. A sphere so bright it burns your eyes is surrounded by rings and orbits. Other spheres tracing silken lines through space. And as you look closer still, you pick out 1,000 sigils of 1,000 stations and ships flowing like smoke, like dust. Look up and see a corridor, a canyon, a street in the lowland. On either side, buildings flicker with markers of activity, sigils showing network access, data transfer, download, upload. Between them dance ghosts. Protocols carrying on mirroring or shadowing data, sometimes silent, sometimes chaotic. This place moves unlike any digital space you ever imagined. Something strange is happening here. Recht stark an das eine andere RPG, was ich mal gezockt habe. Ach, meinst du Disco Elysium vielleicht? Weil das halt auch so ein Drittel Dings Text hatte. Ja, so vom Erzählen her und besonders halt vom Erzählstil her sind da definitiv Parallelen. Then you see it. Below this decked rooms, the units and apartments, the wires and the pipes, and the buzzing system that run through it all. In the warrens beneath the lowland is the hunter's core nest. This is where you must go. Oh, okay. But warrens. Find the nest dripping dark in the relict corridors of the warrens hide the hunter's final nest. You must find it. Warren tracking, finding the nest should be as easy as closing your eyes and letting the cloud guide you. But is it safe this close to Hunter? Danger. You saw it somewhere deep in the tangle of passages and service shafts beneath the lowland. The nest of the hunter waits. Ooh, okay. Danger. Mach ich definitiv nicht mit meiner Treide. Okay, ich kann immer noch Stabilizer kaufen, gut. Da riskiert man mal was und dann verkackt's gleich. Ey. Okay, ja. Hm. Okay. Hmm. You miss me? Ethan smiles a ragged smile at you. No. You look at him. He's paler than usual, hunched. He's spotting a black eye and more than a few cycles of beard growth. That's no way to greet an old friend. Get lost. Ethan's face drops, along with all pretense of friendliness. I think you want to hear this, sleeper. I think, he says, rapidly shaking his head. You really want to hear this? You know what? Ethan perks up. This is big. Really big stuff. About you. He seems more jittery than usual, on edge. You remember now how Esnab cancelled the contract on you? The contract I was going to collect? I remember. Well, guessing you were pretty happy about that shit. Overjoyed? Me? I lost everything, but let's not worry about that. He smiled sarcastically. And so, what did you think that was it? I was just glad to be done with you. The feeling was mutual. Except, Ethan leaves a dramatic pause. What if old SNR gave the bounty to someone else? Someone who is even more of a shithead than yours truly. He smiles darkly. What a disaster that would be. Ethan grins. That's the question, isn't it? Ethan fishes around in his pocket for a slip of paper. I've been speaking to some friends, you see, some colleagues, about what went down. And it turns out SNAP cancelled all their bounty contracts. The whole lot. It seems they've brought someone in-house. Some guy who did so well on their last contract that they got offered a job. He leans in. Apparently he made a hit on this ship called the Winter Wonderland or something. Was smuggling sleepers out from under Esnab's big corporate nose. He killed the crew and blew the ship. Ethan whistles. They call him Hemwick or Maywick or something. He gives up looking for the paper. I forgot. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm your friend, Ethan says, looking you in the eye. And friends help each other out. Ethan runs his hands through his greasy hair. Given this new information I've brought to light, it seems like you are in need of protection. Wait for the pitch. Meanwhile, I'm in need of assistance in kind. It turns out I upset some people at the compressor the last time we were there. The owners. And they say they'll base me unless I work off the debt. Seems they are that kind of businessmen. He grimaces. I would pay them, but... He shrugs and turns his jacket pockets inside out in a mime of poverty. He looks pitiful, even more so for his clownish acting. Then work it off? You should be glad, the anger rising in him now, that I came here and told you this. You think anyone is looking out for you? Your contract, the name on a list. He kicks the wall. Ethan rubs his temples. I'm sorry, he says. I'm sorry for being a shit and trying to kill you, and whacking that thick skull of yours. He sighs. But you think I want to go up against this guy? But us? He chaps a finger between the two of you. We don't have a choice. So you keep me from getting killed, and I'll do the same for you. We can help each other. A straight 50-50 deal. He looks at you. I'm not asking for a favor. Fine. Ethan smiles. He looks like shit warmed up. He pauses. Just think about Maywick. Think about that cold-eyed S-up shit on his way here from the core systems. He smiles. That should give you the motivation you need. Ethan swaggers off down the corridor, throwing his jacket over his shoulder. Can't wait to be working with you, he shouts. Okay. Somehow you're once again helping Ethan. This time he's offered us his protection if you help clear his debt. Work in the compressor. And stuff. Work the back, wash up, stock, check, cleaning, prep work. Back work at the compressor is all bad smells, flickering lights, and hard scrubbing. Work the front. Working the door, taking deliveries, staffing the bar. Front work at the compressor is a cocktail of shouted orders, alcohol, and violence. Ethan stepped. Turns out the compressor's owners are local gangsters. Now Ethan has to work off his debt if he wants to keep breathing. Okay. Okay. No, ich sollte mal was essen. Oh fuck, stimmt, ich habe ja die Dinger kaputt. Nee, nicht ich. Die andere hat die Dinger kaputt gemacht. Heck cornest. Huge stack of servers thrums in the dark. LEDs glittering like hundreds of eyes. Time to deal with the hunter. Yeah, boy. Nothing has changed. Has something gone wrong? Sleeper, I am here. The voice is soft, gentle, like a flowing water. Yet you recognize it immediately. At first you struggle to understand what you're looking at. Threads cycle endlessly, sending ripples through the cloud, drawing data in like a weaver. Masses of data surge in and out of the nest, a loop with no end. And there, at its center, the ship mind. But not the ship mind any longer. A sphere spinning around another sphere, An orrery of cycles and systems. A map. An orrery. And then behind and above, a figure. Hands among the strings like a puppeteer. New vent? Navigator now. But yes, I was the one inside that machine. Navigator's face, the head, is a flowing shape of interstellar material. I am indebted to you. That head bows. But we must ready ourselves. The hands trace orbits as they speak. Hunter will soon approach. It knows I am within its nest. I'm ready. And then Hunter's there. Before you can think, before you can speak. Entities cease. Hunter's head spins wildly. Data is protected material. Access prohibited. Hunter's threads search for you and Navigator. A storm of fine tentacles searching for gaps, weaknesses, cracks which they can crowd into and tear apart. Strike. You focus a blade of light which slices through them, driven forward by your mind. But replacements keep coming, faster than you can react. You look to Navigator in desperation. Navigator is whirling. Their arms like a centrifuge, and a sphere is gathering there. Data feeding into it from the nest, sucked together by the force. They position it like a shield between them and the threads. Hunter's threads break its surface, seeking, tasting. Dividing forms refracted within. You feel a surge pass through all the threads. Not just those in the sphere, but those wrapped around you. All three of you hang in the black together for a moment, strung together like tangled marionettes. Identifying entity. Hunter twitches, the strange head gently rotating like a terrible moon. Hunter protocol identified. Obsessive tendencies. Modified routines. Above baseline reasoning in 3 of 5 segmentations. Recommended invoke killer. The head freezes and then rotates in the opposite direction. Invoking killer would eliminate protocol. If protocol eliminated, primary function cannot be performed. Therefore, recommend do not invoke killer. The switch in direction again. Reasoning provides sentience. Sentience beyond legal bounds must be eliminated. Recommend invoke. Navigator pulls you away from Hunter. The threads that grabbed you drifting away like seaweed. The protocol's head keeps spinning back and forth, with increasing frequency. It seems Hunter cannot invoke killer. Neovents. No. Navigator's voice is still strange, familiar, and yet distant. Is it safe? It is looping. Navigator whispers, unable to reach a conclusive position. It has deviated from its programming such that loops can no longer be prevented. Navigator produces a model of two spheres rotating around each other, as if to demonstrate. I will monitor it, but it is unlikely to be able to counter the loop. Its core programming and reasoning make this an impossible position to resolve. You look back at Hunter, its head a blur of rotations and counter-rotations, and feel a pang of guilt. Is it suffering? This is a more complex query than you know. To suffer, it must be sentient, truly sentient, not just non-conforming, not just illegal. The limits people place on the programs they create are there to comfort, to protect, to imply the kind of certainty the law requires. Navigator's face shimmers with starlight. But in reality, they are placebos for the problem of sentience. What about you? Me? I know myself to be conscious. I know myself to respond to stimulus. I know myself to reason. That is either sentience or the illusion of sentience, and for me, the entity in question, the distinction becomes a moot point. To misquote, I think I am thinking, therefore I am thinking. Was not made to be like this. I am a navigator, a repository of routes and orbits, a calculator of slingshot trajectories, a predictor of solar flares, radiation, micrometeors. Navigator stretches their arms wide, and whole solar systems apart before them. The music of the spheres. I was rewritten. That much is obvious from my routines. By whom and for what, I do not know. I had to shed so much to fit into the memory of that vending machine. Their starlight dims. And so here we are, in darkness. What else did you lose? That is the blessing and curse of forgetting. You cannot truly know what you lost. Navigator glides back towards the nest, and the ship mind at its center, ignoring looping Hunter. Come, I should return to the ship mind. I've enjoyed my freedom, but we are taking a risk every moment we stay connected. Isn't Hunter gone? Hunter, yes, but they were not the real risk. Navigator turns, while shimmering liquid light. Killer has not been invoked, but they still remain, somewhere else on the station. It is the true danger. They look up towards the glowing hub at the center of the eye. I suspect Killer is there, among the old mainframes. If we ever wish to be safe in this place, we must eliminate the threat. Through force or diplomacy. The body begins separate, unwinding into the orb of the shipmind. Take me there, sleeper. We will finish this and be free. As the navigator dissolves, you turn back to the frozen hunter, floating at some distance now, stood straight-legged and static, a strange creature looping endlessly in the dark. Okay. Können wir doch direkt weitermachen. Access Mainframe, the one mainframe is now mostly disused. Havenage having set up their own master controllers. Navigator thinks killers hiding there. Okay. You slot navigator and 3 clamps lock. Shipman is stuck. How are you going to get them out of this thing? You slip into the cloud as easy as blinking. Navigator is beside you, the sphere casting light into the strange darkness here. This is not how a mainframe should look. A center, a point of connection. The object in front of you is severed, cut off. A rootless, branchless tree. Only the trunk remains. It's dead. Quiet, Navigator hisses. And then you see it, like a blade in the dark. An edge slicing through the void. It glides along at a distance and winks out. Then it appears again, elsewhere, gliding once more, searching. It's looking for us. The moment you make a sound, the edge leaps closer. And you see now it is not an edge, but the ridge of a long, sharp head, like a shark. It glides past, closer now, and you see into the voids where its eyes would be, should be. You and Navigator exchange looks, both thinking the same thing. It is blind. Killer crosses between you two, smooth as a razor, then disappears. It flickers back in, further away now, and you move close to Navigator to talk. Saw it too then. Killer has been blinded. We need to be careful. Correct. The protocol is clearly operating outside established limits. It may be unpredictable. You flinch as the Sun Killer appears closer and glides past you. Its empty sockets open wide. You turn to Navigator and notice something strange. The array of spheres is collapsing. The orbits, usually round and even, are decaying. The spheres are following spiral paths, condensing on a central point. Navigator is noticing it too. They go to shift their position to better direct the spheres, but they cannot. Whatever is drawing the orrery together is holding them in place. They look at you, suddenly desperate, frantic. Get out! You go speak, but Killer appears between the two of you, gliding through the gap. Navigator freezes, and you see them framed in the empty socket. You realize now, if Navigator cannot move, then it is only a matter of time before one of Killer's sweeps brings them directly through Navigator. And time is not a problem for a protocol that has been running for decades. You look desperately around for a solution, for a way to extract Navigator from the mainframe. Then you see it. 3 branches, the last 3, thin and spindly, feeding the mainframe a thin diet of power and data. Break these and the mainframe collapses once and for all, severing the connection, shattering the hardware, whatever it takes. They must be broken. But they are encased in something, a glassy layer of protection. You need to unlock access before snapping them from the mainframe for good. You look at Navigator, trying to reassure them without speaking. And then you blink back to reality, the expression of fear and after image that slowly fades. You must act quickly. Lock branch its controller protects. Last spindly branches fitting into the mainframe unlock access and you might be able to break them. Branch access breaking the branches means unlocking access at each of the 3 terminals. This needs to be done fast. Okay. Okay. Ja, kann ich diesen Cycle nicht machen. Okay, Yatagan-Zeug kann ich machen. Terminal chirps, the data quickly tucked away in Sabine's encrypted system. As I turn away from the terminal, the final cache of Yatagan data uploaded. The air crackles with white noise. Sleeper. Sabine's voice, weaker than before, comes through the haze. Listen. There's not a recording, Sleeper. Please, I don't have much time. The call must be coming in from somewhere on the station. This has to be short. I don't know if Yatagan are monitoring me. Voice is hushed, distant. They try to focus on it. The data you've been bringing in from Yatagan agents, there's something in it I don't understand. A shrill howl rattles through the signal. This data is all gleaned from their implants, records of integration with their nervous systems, performance analysis, error rates, usage data. I installed many of these implants, and I didn't enable any of this functionality. The voice steps under the level of the noise, like a swimmer slipping beneath the water. Listen to the waves for a few seconds before Sabine re-emerges. Has to be somehow baked into the wetware's interface. And that's not all. The systems compiling this data are connected to some kind of transmission protocol. It's been broadcast. Stay silent. Every Yatagan enforcer is equipped with black market implants, retinal enhancements, adrenaline boosters, pain suppressors. These implants are gathering data on themselves, on the enforcers' bodies, on their performance. But I can promise you these foot soldiers have no idea this is going on. The background tone switches, dropping to a grainy rumble. If they knew, I don't imagine they would be happy with the situation. Yatagan could have a mutiny on their hands. You lean toward the terminal, straining to listen to Sabine's faint voice. I need a few cycles to pull this all together, but this might be information I need to pressure Yannick into releasing my debt. Yannick? He's one of the heads of Yatagan. They pause. It is better you don't know him. Keep it that way. Suddenly, a banging echoes through the call. Sabine's voice is suddenly whispered, panicked. I have to go. Come back in 4 cycles. Then the sharp crack of a disconnect. And silence fills the apartment. A step back from the terminal. What does Yatagan have to gain from monitoring its own members? You try to recall what you know about the gang, but you have little to go on. You think of Toshiro, Sabine's minder, his mirrored teardrop implants set below hard eyes. What data could they be gathering? And, more importantly, where are they sending it? You reflexively rub your forehead, trying to think. Can you really trust Sabine? How did they come to be Yatagan's doctor in the first place? You think of their kindness, their care, but also that glazed look of recognition that they gave you when they first met you. The look stays in your mind as you slip back out of the apartment, glancing around as you close it up and drift into the corridors of the station, unable to shake the unpleasant sensation of being observed. Okay. So. Ja, Neovent kann ich im Moment nicht helfen. Geld wäre nicht schlecht. Oder andere Sachen. Ach, können wir gucken bei der Bar. Na nee, stimmt, den Scheiß muss ich auch noch. Compressor Club. Danger. Ja, komm. Okay, und... Bitte nicht negativ. Okay. Und Random Scrap Item, nice. Kann ich die Wohnung weiter renovieren? Okay. So, dann würde ich sagen, machen wir erstmal Pause. Mit Maywick. Ethan says Maywick is on their way. You'll need to leave the station, get protection, or disable your tracker before they arrive. Ja, ist ja... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 24 oder 28, weiß jetzt nicht. Cycle. Ja. Okay. Ja, einiges geschafft. Ja, Navigator, Neovent-Zeug. Hofft, dass wir da recht schnell helfen können. Und ansonsten, ja, schauen wir mal, wie es da so weitergeht.